Hey, this is Alexis with Alexis Reads, and welcome to my channel. Today's video is about my February wrap-up, and I need to do better just recording in general, but definitely want to do a couple wrap-ups. I've been reading great books for the start of the year 2023 and excited to share this with you. Side note, this is my third time recording this because my dogs were barking nonstop. They're now in the backyard, but the reason why they were barking, my Amazon package came and I have to share this with y'all. So I have my little pouches when you annotate. I have like a really skinny one for just the pens and a little small tabs, but it can't fit everything. So I just ordered this honestly from Amazon to get ready to kind of start making my notes on books. And how cute is this? So cute. So that's a little side note. A good time, which hopefully y'all here will have a good time to hear about the books that I read for February. All right, let's dive into it. This is not in order of which I read it, but to start off, we're gonna start with this beautiful cover and such the cutest book ever, which is XOXO by Axie Oh. This book was adorable. I definitely recommend if you need a little just a good story, great romance, and an easy page turner. A funny note to this is that I actually read this book Sunday. It was a long weekend that we had because I believe it was President's Day in February. We had Monday off. So Sunday I spent all day half in bed and half on my couch because I was recovering from a hangover. Partied a little bit too hard on that Saturday. But the great thing is that it forced me to not do anything because I'm always constantly just moving too much. So I sat down and I said, you know what, since I can't move and I'm no longer dizzy, I am going to read this book for the entire day. And I finished it in one day and it was absolutely adorable. Such an easy read. So this book, we are following the main character, Jenny, who lives in LA. She is a Korean American, first generation born in America, and she actually is basically a prodigy, and she's a prodigy celloist, and her dream is to go to a prestigious school, a prestigious music school for cello. And ideally she would love to go to New York because a couple family members are there too. So in LA, she lives with her mom. Her dad had passed away, but her dad and her uncle used to own this shop, or this bar, a karaoke bar, in which the uncle still owns, Jay's Karaoke, I believe it's called. So she actually works there with her uncle. As a celloist, there's a couple performances, of course, that she does. In one performance, she received feedback and basically saying that everything was perfect. Like, she is an incredible performer or incredible celloist, but lacks that spark, that oomph, that something else. So she definitely takes that into heart. And she kind of talks to her uncle about it and vents to say, like, basically they're saying that she's bland or just has no spark, again, no spark. Her uncle was the one to say, like, you just need to start doing stuff for fun or a little bit spontaneous, do all these things that honestly teenagers should be doing, because she's always constantly practicing nonstop. So of course, behold, that day in the karaoke bar, there's these different rooms that folks have to pay for. There is a young gentleman who's been in there longer than the time period needed. So her uncle asks, like, hey, I can go ahead and get him out if you don't want to. So she says, no, I have it. I can handle it. She walks in and there's this definitely young, handsome man who's in there. And his time is up. And so he's not really ready to leave. He looks like just so distraught. But she says that, hey, why don't we just make a bet? Like, she was going to leave and not deal with it. But she decided to come back and say, hey, let's make a bet. Let's do this karaoke. Whoever has the highest score ends up wins, and if I win, you have to leave, and if you win, you can stay a longer time period. They do this karaoke. He has a really nice voice, but she ends up winning because they judge it by a couple of different things. And that was kind of her first moment of being spontaneous, of like, I'm just gonna sing this karaoke in front of this stranger. We're gonna fast forward a little bit until they run into each other again, and she finds out that his name is Jay Woo during that night. She finds out that his name is Jay Woo. And they end up singing, they end up meeting again randomly. And again, another spark of like, okay, we're gonna try something new. Like, they end up meeting on this bus, they end up hopping off the bus, they end up doing a couple of different things, but ultimately they end up spending a whole day together and really, really enjoying each other's company. And to the end of the night where Jay Woo has to go. So as she's gonna be there for the semester for these few months, runs into these like really popular kids because there's girls following these two young gentlemen that they end up running into each other in like a uniform store. And right before she meets these two guys, she saw on a big screen a clip of the end of a video of this group called XOXO. And she just sees the right at the end of it and somewhat recognizes them, but doesn't really. Anyway, she ends up meeting two of the people in the group that's just a super popular group, and come to find out that this group actually goes to the same academy that she's going into. So she feels relieved that she gets to know someone because the two folks that she meets at the group are really kind. So when she goes there, she comes to find out that Jae-woo actually goes to this academy too, but did not know that Jae-woo's a part of the group XOXO, like one of the biggest K-pop like groups in the world. She just did not know about this group at all. So as soon as she kind of sees him, it's like, Jae-woo, and you can tell Jae-woo's surprised, but he downplays it as to like he's never met her before. So like not only did he leave her on red, but now he's pretending like, oh, I don't know you. So we follow this journey of like, why is that happening? What's going on with that? And honestly, Jennie and Jae-woo like looking at their relationship. And can they have what they both want in life, which is, both musically tied, and potentially explore this relationship. So definitely read this. A little bit longer rant that I wanted to go to, but ultimately love this book. Excellent book if you need a quick easy turn pager. It made me happy. I thought it was adorable. So definitely check this book out, XOXO by Axie Oh. Next book that I read was, I'm actually going to skip to Radiant Sun. Radiant Sun is book 4 of the Dark Olympus series. I think I've given like short reviews on this series before. So I'll try to tag it somewhere up here. This Katee Roberts really takes not just a retelling, but a reimagining of the Greek gods and goddesses. And unlike stories that you've seen, these titles that you are used to in Greek mythology, like Apollo, Ares, all these Greek gods and goddesses are no longer, they're not a god or goddess. It's a job title. So as different names mean different job titles. And everyone, in order to get this job title, you either have to be, whether it's elected, you have to win some sort of games, you have to be voted amongst your peers within a circle. Like there's a couple of different ways that you can become this job title. The only caveat to it is that the three legacy titles, which is Hades, Zeus, and Poseidon, these are all titles that you have to be born into, right? So it's like a king and queen type of thing, right? You're born into that role. Everyone else, like, it is a job, and within that, being born into the role, there are still specific jobs that you do within that role, but they're the ones who are born into it, where other folks, these are job titles, whether you're elected, etc., etc. So this is book 4 of Radiant Sun, and here we are following Cassandra, and she grew up knowing about what the 13's done. Again, the 13 are the 13, again, Greek gods' names you're used to. They are the ones who basically run the city of Olympus. Just keep in mind, Olympus is in an everyday world, but it's completely separate from the world in which people can't enter or exit out of, right? It's kind of its own society. And so they all are humans. But Cassandra actually grew up with her parents kind of like in the 13, and her parents like really very much tied into it. She realized that her parents actually tried to do assassination attempt on one of the 13 members. She remembers her parents constantly saying that there was a loophole in the system in which if you kill someone of the 13, you can take on that role. But no one knows about this rule. The society doesn't. Only the members of the 13, they do, and they keep it tight-knit. So growing up, when her parents tried to do that, they basically banned her parents, and it was shame. Her parents ended up dying for some reason, I can't remember, but basically Cassandra was forced to kind of grow up quick and take care of her younger sister. And her goal in life is to always make sure her sister's okay and to leave Olympus. And in order to leave Olympus, you have to have a lot of money to do it, because it takes a lot. Someone has to basically sneak you out the whole 9 yards. As her parents were disgraced and her family kind of just had this terrible name to her, as she was growing up, or as she was a young adult, she had a hard time finding jobs until she ran into Apollo. Apollo is a part of 13 and considered the spy master. And all of a sudden, he he hires her, and not out of pity or anything, but what he says often in the book is that I hired her because she is talented, and that is why. But Cassandra always thinks of it as like a pity party. So this book, every book follows kind of 2 or 3 characters. This book follows Cassandra and Apollo. It is their relationship, and the whole kind of synopsis about this is that there is something going on in Olympus. Someone is able to enter in. There is some craziness going on with new citizens of Olympus, and Apollo wants to get to the bottom of it, along with Zeus. Zeus is the head person in charge of Olympus, wants to get the bottom of it, what's going on. And so in order to get the inside scoop, the new citizens are hosting kind of this week-long party. And so, of course, Apollo is invited, and they want him to bring a date. And so Cassandra and Apollo ends up becoming into a fake relationship in order to go to the party. And in order for Cassandra to do this, she told Zeus, the only way I would do this is if you pay me X amount of $1 million and gets me out of Olympus. And so that's the agree upon, like that's the agreement. So this is forced proximity. This is fake dating. This is those types of tropes with a little bit of mystery in it as well. And of course, you have to have the smut, because that is what Katee Roberts is known for. So ultimately, this was a really good book. And it's another easy read. I actually did the audiobook, easy listen to. So if you need something to kind of spice it up, definitely do so. It liked the other ones a little bit better. I thought it was a little bit more to it. However, this book was just an easy read. So definitely go ahead and do that. Okay, the next book that I have, I'm actually going to do 2 of these quickly together because I really want to make a separate video for it. But Crown of Bones by A.K. Wilder is book 1 of the Amasia series, and book 2 is Curse of Shadows, which I need to get the hard copy of because I love it. I am doing a challenge with my good friend. She just changed her name. It's now Sincerely Debbie. So make sure you follow her on Bookstagram. She created this incredible challenge called 20 Off My Shelf. And I already came into 2023 wanting to make sure I read more books off my shelf. And this was a great challenge to do it. So Crown of Bones was a part of that challenge. And I had to dive into the series. Like book 2 is already out. Book 3 hopefully I think it should be coming out soon. I was so... Honestly, this is probably going to be one of my top reads of the year. I'm not lying. I loved everything about it. It has the high fantasy. It has the action. It's an epic adventure. The characters are great. It's from multiple point of views, which I personally love. And I did the audiobook and absolutely love the audiobook. And I'm dying to go back and read it because every time I do the audiobook, if I own it, I like to physically read it as well. It was so fast paced, and I love the band of like the group that the main characters groups. It's incredible. Again, super high level. This is about a young girl named Ash. I can't remember how old they are. I think they're like late teens. They have to be like 17, 18, 19, kind of late teens. And it is, really it's so much that happens, but in short, in this world, in the world of Amasia is the world. It's one kind of land called Amasia, and every section of course has different titles, different cultures, different things like that, but everyone in Amasia goes by this kind of hierarchy system, whether you are a savant or a non-savant, and that means that you can raise what's called a phantom from the ground. So these individuals can raise, whether it's an animal looking like creature, a human looking like creature, a ball of energy, they can raise these things called phantoms off the ground. And every phantom is known to do maybe something different, right? You can have a warrior phantom or a caller phantom. It's gonna be too deep into it. Just know that the people who are called savants can raise these things called phantoms. Within that phantom society, you do have different levels based off of your knowledge, or like if you're known as a savant, there's different color robes that you are. And if you are, I always forget it's blue. I always get brown and blue mixed up. So if you are a savant, you're starting off, you're at the brown robe, and then you work your way up to a blue robe and a green robe, and et cetera, et cetera. Once you're at a green robe, you are able to raise your phantom easily. You're able to somewhat have some control over it. You take this journey to earn your yellow robes. And that journey can be some type of epic journey, but once you're there, you do this training. And so that's kind of the hierarchy of savants. Now, not everyone is savant. There are folks who are non-savant who cannot raise a phantom. And there is definitely prejudice and racist towards that. Like if you are a non-savant, you are definitely seen at the bottom of the bottom. And that is the world that they live in. And so this is about an epic adventure of Ash, who is considered a non-savant. In the book, you learned out the ways they find out whether you're a savant or non-savant. They had terrible practices that some places in this world still does, but where Ash is from, they recently banned folks who are considered Mar, right? They Mar people of the water. If they were considered Mar, they would toss the baby into the water as a sacrifice. So it is this type of world. It is this epic adventure. Just know that without me getting, because I really want to do a separate video on this, just know if you are looking for a book that is different and unique and so well written, thought the characters are fantastic, it has an ounce of romance too, this is the book for you. And again, book 2 is out as well, so you can go ahead and read those 2 back to back. And I believe the author, who I actually had a chance to quickly DM her, the author is working on book 3. So I'm really hoping that comes out soon. And just know I left this book, this world, and I'm having a hard time not diving back into this world. I'm trying to read my other books, but I really want to dive back into this world. Which leads me to the last book that I'm going to ramble about in this long monthly February wrap up, which is Bloodmarked, book 2 of the Legendborn cycle. I did, and I will place it up here, did actually a pretty quick review of Legendborn, the first book. Check that out if you haven't already. I'm also going to do another video specifically on this book because it was just amazing. 5 out of 5 stars. Another book that I'm having a hard time like not diving back into. I do that a lot. Like I can actually read a book 3 or 4 times or listen to it like 2 or 3 times. I am that person. I don't know. I love it. I love rereading books, and I actually just finished this a few days ago. I sat on my bed for 30 minutes not knowing to do with my life because it ended. I loved everything about it. I love the character development. I love the struggles Bree has to continue to go through, the challenges, the grief, just all the things that she has to deal with and still deals with it. Without grace, right? I'm very clear about that. She deals with it and not always in the best way, and making mistakes along the way. And I like that when I see heroes who are making mistakes, who are allowed to feel these emotions and allowed to show it. I absolutely love it. I love the character development. I love the kind of the 4 main characters that we're with this time around, all of those things. So just be a note that I will have a separate video of Bloodmarked, but I can't get my thoughts around it yet. Like I can't even talk about it yet because it's that good. So I need some time to marinate with this, to get some type of thoughts down before I have a video on it, and just be ready for that to come. So ultimately, the books that I read for February were absolutely fantastic. Please let me know if any of these are on your TBR, or if you've read any of these before or you're interested in it. As always, please make sure you like and subscribe. I'm gonna come out with even more videos and more rambles about me talking about books. So this is Alexis with Alexis Reads. Like and subscribe and comment, and hope to see you in my next video. Bye, y'all.